Aspen is going global with generic drugs in partnership with its strategic shareholder GlaxoSmithKline. In most recent ventures, they are in Australia and Latin America. It has a market cap of 52 billion rand and trades on a historic price to earnings ratio of 20. Aspen, Stephen Saad, you have got to back this story.
Yeah, absolutely. The best CEO in the country, smart, knows the industry. They've done such a great story here in terms of expanding from a couple of crummy plants around the country. They bought the old SA druggist business with money from Vestact. They now have these fabulous facilities in East London, PE, and Cape Town. They went and bought this thing in Australia. Everybody said it was a totally crazy deal. Look, they've turned it around in record time. And most importantly, they've got a wonderful relationship with GlaxoSmithKline. UK-based global giant, you know, 200
okay, enough
billion.
from you. Warren, I want to hear from you.
Yeah, I've got to agree with Paul. Stephen Saad's an unbelievable entrepreneur, and this business is going to carry on growing, and it's probably going to be on a forward PE for 20 times for the rest of its 150 year, 160.
In other words, it's never going to get cheap. If you don't, you buy now.
Because he's always growing. I mean, that acquisition that Paul's mentioned in Australia, I think it's added 4 or 5 fold to EBITDA already. So I mean, it's an unbelievable business. He's a smart man, so you got to back the horse. Back the horse and the jockey.
Is it all about Stephen Saad though? Because there we do have to heed caution.
Yeah,
what happens if
right.
Stephen Saad, God forbid, is hit by a bus?
Well, there is Gus Attridge, who's the deputy CEO and so on, but I think that would be a serious problem because he's not just a professional manager, he's like the 15% shareholder. But I think, you know, all things being equal, you know, people worried the same about Steve Jobs, and look how well his successor Tim Cook's done at Apple. So, you know, we'll be fine on that score. The thing here is generic drugs. Generic drugs is a very good space to be because we know 20 years ago there were all these fabulous drugs like the stuff for cholesterol and so on that were invented. Now they're coming off patent. So companies like Aspen can roll out and do these things. And drugs is a fabulous business because unlike the ones we were talking about earlier, like cigarettes, people use more healthcare stuff all the time.
What are we at? About 135 rand on Aspen.
It's about 118 or so.
118,
yeah.
all
So
right.
that high there is about like 125.
All right, I mean, here we are. Sorry, 118. I'm being very blunt. Would you buy it at 118 rand?
Yes, I would.
You're not going to wait. It's not going to have a pullback. Will it have a pullback?
You know, if you're waiting for a pullback, yeah, they're few and far between, and the business continues to grow. So,
which is the point you made earlier.
Because the Australian deal was interesting. They bought this business for like $7 billion. And then what they did is they basically decimated its cost structure. So they just like took out all of the production facilities, all of the head offices, and they just made their small little team operating from some business park take over this big business. They're now expanding into Asia with Japan and China and all that.
You have to back this one. Hot or not on Aspen?
Hot for me, yes.
And for you, sir?
I like it a lot. I think it's one of the best pharma company opportunities in the world.